Are you tired of your base being over cluttered? Want to triple the size of your base without having to move to another base? Well, I'm going to give you guys these tricks that are going to not only make your life easier, give you more space, but make you more productive when it comes to mining, farming, and sleeping. So if you like how that sounds, let's dive right into it. So if you guys are super excited for the next update, hit that like button. I want to see how many of you guys are excited. With that being said, guys, let's talk about how you're going to be able to triple the size of your base with these tips. So what you're going to do, guys, is you're going to go to your technology tab, and once you get to level 5 in your technology tab, there's going to be a thing called structures, and it's going to be called wooden living room furniture set. You're going to want to make sure you unlock that, okay? So once that's unlocked, that's going to give you access to two major things that are going to make our lives super duper easy within the bases. One is the square table and one is the wooden bench. So we're going to get started, of course, with the first thing that I want to talk about, which is farming. Farming tends to take a lot of space because once you get started, you got to do berries, and then from berries, you got to do wheat, and then from wheat, you got to do tomato, you got to do lettuce. What would you say if I told you could actually do 3 things with just one spot, one square of space taken in your base instead of 12 to 15 spaces on your base being taken up with the with the farming method? So this is what we're going to do, guys. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be setting the square tables. Now, what the square tables are going to allow us to do is that they're going to allow us to stack on top of them. Basically, just for this example, I went ahead and placed 2 square tables, and on top of that second square table, I went ahead and placed the planting option here. In this case, it was tomato. Now, one thing if you want to note, if you want to stack even further, so if you want to go up to 4 steps, you could do 3 columns. You're going to have to set another 2 tables to go up to the 3rd column, and of course, you're going to have to build something that you could get up top of to be able to, kind of jump and get it online. But for this purpose, I went ahead and just did 2 tables. I stacked up in my tomato plant, and then I went ahead and stacked up a tomato on the bottom. I did that on the other side as well. And as you see right here, I was able to clear a lot of space within this base to be able to do this following. Now, the great thing about this is that you can literally have more effectiveness when doing this, because whenever your pals are watering, whenever they're planting, they're going to be doing twice the labor or 3 times the labor in one complete set. So as you guys are noticing right here, my pal is currently watering, but he's watering both sections at the same time. So what this does, it allows one particular pal to not only have less pals, but to have one pal do multiple jobs at the same time without them even knowing. So it's actually pretty OP because it's going to increase the effectiveness of you being able to do this with the, with the farming part. So as you see right here, we reduce the size of the farm, we reduce the size of the berries, we reduce the size of the wheat, we reduce the size of the lettuce, we reduce the size of the tomato. Now we're doing more stuff, more productive, more effectively farming by doing this particular method. Now, another really annoying thing, guys, that happens in the game is the workbenches. Not so much in the beginning stages where you have these little tiny wooden benches. The ones that are really annoying are the big ones, the big long ones, boys. These take a ton of space, and this could actually make or destroy a base, because I've seen bases where people have built a bunch of squares in order just to fit a bunch of these. Okay, so what would you say if I actually told you there is a way to stack these up 3 times? Yes, guys. So you can literally have all 3 level 2 assemble benches in one complete row. So what you want to do here, guys, is going to be pretty simple as well. Same method that we did last time. We're going to use our square tables, and we're going to line these square tables all the way up. We're going to stack them up 4 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. What I would recommend is build like a ramp or build 2 tables. Get on top of those tables so you can place the first row of the assembly line. Place this first row of the assembly line. Once that's placed, you want to make sure it's lined up. So you probably want to put a wall to the side so you know where it actually lines up to line it perfectly. And especially if you don't want one to look, like it's out of place. So what you do is you put that top row, you could just jump and land it and, make sure you place it. Once you have that top row placed, that's going to be your reference point to know where the other one in the bottom is going to go. So what you want to do is you're going to want to dismantle the second 2. The two square tables that you had. So it's going to reduce the stack of 4 to 2. And now you're going to place in your second row of the assembly line. And that's going to go right dab in the middle of the square table. Once you have that completely centered, you have it ready to go. What you're going to do is remove the remaining 2 square tables and then place your 3rd assembly line. This is going to allow you to stack all 3 assembly lines in one complete row. The only thing with this, guys, is if you want to go 3 stack, you're going to have to build like a little ramp to get to the last one, or you could literally just climb the wall and get on top of it. That's the only caveat. So you could theoretically, if you want, just stack 2 of them, or you could go all the way to 3, and then this should save you enough space to have all 3 of them in one session, opening up a whole big plant of area to build anything else you want. So it makes it super duper effective. Now, one of the craziest things as well that tends to be a problem is storage space. Storage space is crazy, especially the way we have it. So we really have only 2 main containers when it comes to storage space. We have the blue one, which looks really cool, but it just takes too much space. And then we have the other one, which is kind of like a locker room, but a bigger portion of a locker room. So what we are able to do with this is we're actually able to stack up. This is actually pretty effective because if you want to have a locker room just for armor, you could have one locker room for armor, and you want to have a locker room for your weapons, you could have a locker room for your weapons. If you have fruits, you could have, a locker room for just green and blues and another locker room for purples. Or if you want to have potions, you can have potions in there. So there's a lot of variants that you can do with this locker setup. So what you want to do for this one's a little bit trickier. If you want to make sure they line up, you're going to place one square table. You're going to place another square table. And on top of the other square table, you're going to place a wooden bench. This should give you the right height for that locker room, which makes it really practical. But you want to make sure you line these perfectly to where you want to place, because your reference points is going to be that wooden bench. So if that wooden bench is pushed too much to the left, it's not going to let you get close to the wall. If it's pushed too much to the right, it's not going to get you in line. So you want to make sure you place this correctly. My personal tip is build the first 2 square tables, get on top of the square table, place the wooden bench in the right angle you want to place it, and then you can go ahead and build your locker room, which is actually pretty effective and allows you to stack them up. Here you're able to see the difference between just 1 and 2 of them stacked up together, where you're able to get both of them. The great thing about this is you don't need to build a ramp. You don't need to do anything. If you want to access the bottom one, you just go to the bottom and interact with that one. If you want to access the one in the top, you just jump, interact with that one, and you're able to store stuff in the locker room and allowing you to stack these up, which makes it super duper effective. All right, so the next one I want to show you guys is this one, and that is the bed. Sleeping. This takes up so much space, especially if you're using the big ones or you're using the little second circular ones, the ones that are, like a little bit wider than the other ones. This is going to save you so much space. As you see right here in the video, I showed you before and after. So this is what we have right now. We have one area on the left, one area to the right. It's taking up too much space for so many beds. So what we did is we actually condensed this. And the way we did this is by building, once again, square tables. So we went ahead and built 2 square tables, and then we stacked up 2 beds, 2 of the little circular beds on top of each other. Now, if you're building the big ones like this one here, for example, this is going to require 3 square tables because this is going to need to go a little bit higher. So I would recommend doing the little ones, but if you want to have a bunch of blue ones, you're able to do so because your pals will be able to sleep in them. And I'll show you guys right now what it looks like when they're sleeping. It's like having bunk beds, which is really awesome. So this actually saves so much space because I went from that to, you saw at the beginning, to this right now that we have where these pals are just literally sleeping on bunk beds. They're chilling peacefully, no pathing issues, all perfect, all just staying there and being able to just sleep and then come back from sleep and go back to work, which makes it extremely awesome. Now, the last one, guys, is mining. So if you want to mine, you're able to mine as well. So if you want to stack up mining for rocks, if you want to stack up mining for trees, you're able to stack these up as well. Same scenario, guys, what we're going to do, we're going to place down the square table. We're going to go ahead, build up on top of the square table, and we're going to put these in the same facing direction. So the box is facing forward. You're going to want to make sure it's facing forward. And what this is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to have 2 miners mining the same mine, but mining 2 at the same time, which makes it super duper effective and super duper productive. This is going to cut down your base space by 3 times, giving you 3 times more space, allowing you to build more stuff and have more stuff in your base. Now, I had a previous video as well that showed you how to stack up the farms and how to stack up the ranches. That is another effective method as well. So you could basically have 2 to 3 times the amount of space for your base, depending on how high you want to go stack up. Now, rule of thumb, if you're building a building, you're going to want to make sure you build, higher walls to be able to stack things up. And I know you guys are saying, Laser, well, what's the whole point of this if I could just build multiple layers in a base? there's two main problems. Number one is materials. You need to have a lot of materials. So this is really good for starter people who, if you want to start off and you want to have multiple, farms for berries, multiple farms for lettuce, then you're able to do that without spending too much material as far as foundation is concerned. Number two is, one of the biggest issues is when you build a big base, I have a big base built, is the pathing. The problem is the pathing, and the second problem is if you put, like, let's say you put a farm on the top, right? Let's say you put it on the 3rd floor, and then you have your bottom floor. You literally have to manually be putting food on that top floor manually, which makes it a big of a pain and a little bit more manageable. This way, you're actually able to do more stuff within your first base, or in your second base, do the same pattern. And you're able to save so much space that you're able to just have 2 bases or 1 base. For like a lot of people that don't like to have multiple bases, this is going to save them a ton of space and a lot of time. So one important thing about this, guys, is you're going to want to know who's the best miner. And that's going to help you save a lot of time. You're going to want to know who's the best farmer. If you want to know that, guys, check this video that's popping up right now on the screen so you guys don't miss that information. And of course, guys, I'm going to have you completely covered with more Palworld stuff as we progress. We're working on builds. We're working on guides. Let me know what you want to see next in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.